Welcome to the Twist Podcast, everybody. This is Mark McNease in what's going to be a warm New Jersey. Today it's going up to 65. Rick, what's it going to be like there in Madison?
Well, good morning, everybody. We're just about 10 degrees behind at 55 degrees this morning. A little dark still this morning, despite the time change. Spring has sprung. Did you remember to change your clocks?
I did, partly because I work on Sundays and I did not want to be late. And then we were just talking in the pink room that we need to stop the whole time change thing, daylight saving. Every year, the experts come out and they say it's not necessary, it's not good for your health. The one thing I do like about this, what is it called, spring forward, is that I sleep later because the clocks have changed. So instead of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, now I'm getting up at 5. So that much I like. So I would like to keep it one or the other and never change it.
I hear you. It gets confusing for me because there are some states that don't change it. India is always, and I do a lot of work with India, like a half hour, like 16 and a half hours I don't get. And worse, like your digital phones and digital things will change, but your clocks, your analog clocks on is there still such a thing as analog, like on your microwave or in your car? So I missed a movie this weekend, Mark, because I looked at the wrong.
I can't believe that. How could you miss a movie?
I was going to see the Batman, but I skipped it. But last night, real quick aside as we get into what's new, I watched the movie Coda. Have you heard of it?
CODA, C-O-D-A?
Yeah, which stands for Child of Deaf Adults.
No.
So it is a child of a deaf adult. It's a young woman, a British actress. She was nominated for a BAFTA award the other day. Did not win, but the gentleman playing her dad is married to the person playing her mom, which is Marlee Matlin, who you remember, winning an Academy Award, first deaf person to win one back in 1986 for Children of Lesser God. Oh, by the way, God bless William Hurt. We've lost him, and he was
he died.
Wonderful actor and good in that movie. And then her brother is also played by a deaf actor. But the guy playing her dad won the BAFTA for Best Actor. He is nominated for an Oscar. He would be the first deaf male to win. But it was a beautiful movie, Mark. That's all I got to say. Just a beautiful movie. So I did catch that at least.
Very nice. And by the way, for people who are going to catch us on YouTube, now that we're putting these back there too, I have a fun psychedelic background that I'm testing out. And I have a T-shirt that I must mention, Protect Trans Kids. I got this, and then I got my other T-shirt that says Trans Rights are Human Rights for our next trip to Texas, which will be never. But this is a huge issue for me, and I reached out to Equality Florida, which is a organization, obviously, in Florida, to interview somebody there about all of this stuff, about the Don't Say Gay bills and about the assaults on trans kids and their families. So I'm looking forward to arranging that. It's a really hot. It's something I feel extremely passionately about, and it's not just because of Stephanie Ma, my trans idol who passed away. It's because I see them as an exceptionally vulnerable population, and I defend the vulnerable. I'm like, attack me. If you want to attack somebody, you want to attack gay people, attack me. I'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
But these trans people, they're just, especially the kids, I mean, it's just horrible what's being done to them. And in Idaho, as you probably know, they're about to pass a bill that will make providing gender-affirming health care to trans minors punishable by life in prison. So the kid could be taken from the parents, and the parents could be put in prison for life. And they're so nuts. I don't want to get sidetracked on here, but so many of these crazy people, these right-wing nut jobs who are drunk with power, they're always there. They never stop being drunk with power when they can get it. They all think that gender-affirming healthcare means surgery. It doesn't. Because I heard one of them going off about how you can't mutilate a child's body. It's most of it's hormone blockers if it's used at all. So, anyways, I'm going to shut up about it. But I feel very strongly about it, and I will keep talking about it.
No need to shut up a couple things there. Last week alone, I was with two moms that both have trans children, and it's like to think they could be, as if they weren't, to your point, processing enough and challenged enough. Maybe it's easy for some trans moms and dads, but often it's a lot of challenges, like even just talking to other people about it, little things like that. And then I did see the second thing in Idaho, and Mark made a comment there. Yes, we do business in Idaho, and it's a grave concern. I wonder if in some ways this isn't a backlash of all the California people moving to Idaho. I wonder if they're like, hey guys, we don't want your type here, and these are some things we're going to attack. Because the second thing I was going to mention is yesterday I think they passed, or it's in legislation right now, to do the abortion law, much like Texas in Idaho.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
Yeah, like Idaho, grow up. You don't have to follow Texas, and you don't have to follow Florida. I used to love that state. I'm not going anymore. And back to your psychedelic thing, man, I thought I took one too many Doritos last night. Boy, that's what.
Oh, yeah, we did mention Doritos in the pink room. Folks, Doritos are cannabis-laced snacks like Doritos, but when they say you can't eat just one, please only eat one. That's all I'm going to say about it. We're going to leave it there. Do not eat more than one.
Oh, my God, that's right. So, yeah, I didn't bring my little bell here, but nonetheless, we're still into what's new. Spring has sprung. We could talk about Tom Brady retiring, not retiring, but let's skip over that one.
Yeah, who cares?
You know, last show, if you guys get a chance, go back in your archives. We did a big thing about retiring people staying retired and how that's a new trend, because for a while, retired people wanted to stay working. Apparently, Tom lasted a couple months, and now he's going back to work. A lot of new shows coming up, by the way. I did watch one incredible show last night. Did I talk about this? Yeah, Coda, right? I just did. Was that in the green
Yeah,
room?
you made it. Yeah, we had to start over for people who were wondering. It's okay.
Yeah, so Mark was kind of guising it that we were in the pink room, where we were, but we forgot to press record. So now my works, Mark. Sometimes it doesn't work, so I didn't remember if we had captured that. But there are a lot of Samuel Jacksons out in a new series. Did you see that? Amanda Seyfried. Julia Roberts is coming out a new season in April on a new show called Stars. It's on Stars. It's called Gaslit. And then there's a making of the Godfather dramatization that's coming to Paramount Plus. It's called The Offer. So a lot of new stuff going out there, Mark.
Interesting.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good TV.
I'll look for it. Now, what's new? What's new? We went to Maryland. I don't think I talked about this the last time because it was after that. We went to Maryland to surprise lunch with Frank's late partner's mother, who's 85, and her husband died recently. So our friend Kathy brought her to lunch because they go out to lunch, and she did not know we were going to be there. So it was really great.
Nice.
And then we're going back, and we stayed at my sister Patty's house on the way back for one night. It was really fun. And I don't have a whole lot else new. You know, we're doing the countdown. I got 7 weeks left at the job.
I love it.
I'm sure I'm gonna go back 3 days a week, but it'll be 6 hours a day on my terms. The 3 days I want to work. Life is good. Life is gonna be great. You know, when I do my weekly Red Lines news roundup for LGBT Senior, I always start out with good news. And this morning I wrote, there isn't any. Like, I'm trying to find some good fucking news.
No.
It's got to be out there. It'll come to me. Maybe I'm depressed. I don't know.
You got to find it for sure.
I got to do some more Doritos. I'm depressed.
No, they won't help with that. 21 days for me until Election Day, April 5th. I'm running for county board supervisor here in Dane County. It's been a pleasure getting out and meeting people and all that good stuff. St. Patrick's Day. Any plans for this week, March 17th?
We're going to go to, there's a place called Artie's. It's a pub. It's a pub. It's a bar. Not far from here, but we really like the owner, Teresa. She's really nice. Or maybe it's Maria. Anyways, we really like her. And we go there sometimes because it's bar food. It's like, fish and chips and shit like that.
I love that stuff.
But they do cabbage and corned beef for Irish St. Patrick's Day thing. So we're going to go there Sunday. And I found out I am Irish. I always said Scottish because McNease, M-A-C, the A got dropped at some point. But it turns out through 23andMe that I am mostly British and Irish. So I am into it this year because finally at the age of 63, I'm Irish.
Well, years ago when this whole thing started, you would have had to be wearing blue, not green, Mark, as an Ireland a patriot or anybody that's just having fun on that day. Yeah, because originally, three quick facts about it. It originally started with the color blue, which is interesting. Then it switched to green because I guess the Shamrocks, they call it the Emerald Isle. So it made more sense for them to go green sometime in the 17th century. There are over 34.7 million U.S. residents here that have Irish ancestry. That number is more than 7 times the population of Ireland. Interesting.
Wow.
And then the other big thing is, this last weekend on Saturday, they dyed the river green in Chicago. This was something that started back in '62 when the local plumbers union, who still run it, by the way, decided to dye the river green. Back then, though, it would last for months apparently, but now it only keeps it for a couple hours. It's very cool. Also, what's really unique here in Wisconsin and Madison, Milwaukee, they have the largest Irish Fest anywhere, even bigger than anything over in Ireland. Now, that's not held till August, though, but which is weird. You would think they'd have it in March, but of course the weather is not good. But it's a big festival that everyone celebrates and has a good time with. What's new for me is just kind of watching everything leading up to the Oscars. Lady Gaga, interesting. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Sunday. She was up for a BAFTA award, like I mentioned, the BAFTA Awards in London, but she was also up for a Critics' Choice Award. Now, here's what is interesting. Critics' Choice moved from earlier in the year to the same day of the BAFTAs, so they decided to broadcast from both England and here in the United States. She was up for both awards as Best Actress for House of Gucci. Did not win either. But what's so cool, in total Gaga fashion mark, she wore two different gowns. She was prepared for one. I think, I forget who the designers were, but pretty cool. Unfortunately, she didn't win, but God, I love her. And I don't know if you saw this week. Here's what's new. She and her mom launched that new free mental health thing you can get on called Being There for Each Other. Have you heard of it?
No.
So she and her mom have that foundation they launched, and it's the goal of this program is to build a kinder and braver world. It's aimed for kids to get on, take this Being There for Each Other. Just Google search Lady Gaga. That you'll take a course to learn how to be there for your friends and the conversations you can have, how to take care of yourself, but at the same time, help and take care of others. Isn't that cool?
It is. We watched a little bit of the Critics' Choice Awards. I was disappointed that Cynthia Erivo did not win for the movie about the miniseries about Aretha Franklin. I thought Kate Winslet was great in Mare of Easttown. She was really good. They were both really good, but I would have gone with Cynthia. That's just me. It was like really close.
Were they good awards? I know you hate award ceremonies normally.
Critics' Choice, I guess. I don't know who the critics are.
They must be like Golden Globes. It must be.
I wasn't asked to vote on anything.
Well, I don't know. I was, and you are a critic.
I am a harsh critic.
For me, though, what's new? I want to say too. I just got to shout out to a couple friends. Patty, who I've been working out with every other day. Mark decided I'm off alcohol during Lent. I'm off coffee during Lent. So I thought it's time to focus on my body. So we've been lifting weights, doing cardio. And then my friend Amy, she got me back to yoga, Mark. I took an aroma Zen class on Sunday that I loved. I take flow classes. This place called Dragonfly right up the street in Sun Prairie is awesome. My friend Nikki works there, and they do a thing called $5 flow. You just pay $5 to take that class. But excited to be back to yoga. Have you ever tried it?
A long time ago, yeah, at the YMCA in the city. I did it a couple times. I really liked it. It makes you feel good.
Oh my God, it does. And the aroma one is fun. The teacher comes around and sprays an aroma spray as you're doing your Zen holds. You know, like hold a pose for 3 to 5 minutes. So very cool. That's what's new. Ding, ding, ding.
Headlines.
We got some headlines and some red lines.
Russia asked China for military and economic aid for the Ukraine war.
Boo boo.
Yeah, and then the Biden administration is telling China not to do that, so we'll see what happens there. 45% of millennials have no idea how much money is in their bank account, which is, I mean, it's not that shocking. I mean, who does? But it was more about the fact that they don't know what they got in the bank. I don't know. William Hurt, star of broadcast news and body heat, died at 71, apparently from prostate cancer. So you got to pay attention to that, guys, especially. Well, women don't have prostates, do they? But the men, you got to pay attention to it. Mark Meadows, who wants to be Speaker of the House, registered to vote at an address where he did not reside. So my question is, why isn't he charged? You know, there was a black woman in Texas who got out on probation and voted. She said she didn't know that she couldn't vote, and they put her back in prison for 5 years. So why the fuck is Mark Meadows allowed to commit fraud? And by the way, the only incidents of voter fraud I ever see in the news are by Republicans. They're by the guy who cut off his wife's head and voted for Trump on her behalf. You know, that's the voter fraud that I see. I see no Democratic voter fraud ever. Some more news items here. There was a man There it is. Border authorities found 52 reptiles hidden in a man's clothing. Can you imagine that?
50?
52 reptiles.
They had to be babies unless he's super tall.
Yeah, or snakes. Maybe he was
Weird.
just all wrapped up in snakes.
Weird.
And I don't have a lot more. Did you see the Jane Campion thing where she nailed Sam Elliott for saying your Power of the Dog was was too queer to be too gay to be a Western, and she said Sam Elliott is not a cowboy, he's an actor. But then she fucked up at the Critics' Choice Awards. Did you see that?
No.
She won for Power of the Dog, and one of the competitors was King Richard, which was about the Williams sisters' father. So Venus and Serena were in the audience, and Jane Campion said something to the effect of, Serena and Venus, you guys are great, but you never had to compete against the guys like I do.
Oh, my God.
And then she got really, really raked over the coals for that.
Yeah, why even go there?
And then I think when people are getting awards, or you're in these excited moments, you're not thinking clearly, because what a ridiculous thing to say. She apologized profusely.
Oh, good. I think she's a good woman. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, no. It's just a stupid thing. People say stupid shit, especially at awards ceremonies. Just get up, say thanks, and get off. My happy news is that the Utah governor said he will veto transgender youth sports ban. One of the few times you hear of this kind of thing. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said that he plans to veto legislation passed last Friday, that would ban transgender student athletes from competing in girls' sports. Without his support, Utah is unlikely to join the 11 states, all Republican-led, that have recently enacted bans on transgender girls wanting to compete in school sports. In vowing to veto the bill, Cox directly addressed transgender student athletes, who he said found themselves a subject of political debate through no fault of their own. He said, I know I wrote it down here, I just want them to know it's going to be okay. We're going to work through this. Now that's a human being. That's a human being. That's not a piece of shit masquerading as a governor of Florida or Texas. So that was my happy news.
Idaho. Put that on the list, too.
Oh, I got to add that to since I said I couldn't think of any good news.
And I will tell you, Idaho's a beautiful place, but I shouldn't be talking about it right now until they get ironed out. And the sad thing there, they got a wacko lieutenant governor. I mean, she is absolutely crazy. But what are you going to do? So what's up, Mark?
Your headlines.
Oh, my headlines.
That's it for my headlines.
Yeah, they were good. That was good.
Thank you.
You like it?
I tried.
Okay, cool. So for my headlines, I want to start right here. It's a great story. You mentioned the reptiles. So there was a young stray narwhal, and they may have little narwhals. So here's the deal. A narwhal is like this kind of whale. It's a different kind of unique whale. Well, this very rare one kind of worked his way through Canada's St. Lawrence River, and he hooked up with a bunch of other species of whales. And now he's floating with them and traveling with them. And apparently he's going to breed with them, or she is, or something. So it's going to be a new species of whale that's out there. I just find it kind of
want one.
You want a little baby narwhal?
Yeah, for my fish tank.
That'd be nice. Hey, last print issue of Entertainment Weekly came out. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. That's sad.
Well, Barry Diller bought a series of magazines from Meredith for $2.7 billion earlier in the year, and he stopped them all from going to print. Other titles: In Style, Eating Well, Health, Parents and People in Espanol. But Entertainment Weekly ended with the cover of Ewan McGregor, who's the ex-Jedi Master, and it was the story was actually about the new Star Wars series, or just about that in general. But do you know who the very first cover was? February 16th, 1990, when Entertainment Weekly came out in print. Who do you think was the first cover?
Robin Williams.
Could be 100 people. That's a good guess. No, Katie Lang.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, she must have been big back then, remember?
She was.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I still like Katie Lang. I like her music. Maybe I'll listen to it tonight.
She performs barefoot.
I love that about her, yeah. Speaking of performances, Rosalia was the musical act on Saturday Night Live this week, and if you haven't seen it, look at her second set. They usually do two songs. She wore a comforter, and I looked it up. It's trending now. These comforters people are wearing as clothing. Like literally, like if you walked out of bed, threw on your comforter, and went out on the streets of New Jersey, that's what she did.
Very Andre Leon Talley, I will say though.
Oh,
No, but he wore all these big old things because he was so big.
big old puffy things, making a statement will always be out there with us. This is a really cool thing, and I had to call the number. I can give the number here in a minute, but this is really cool. These kids came together in this school, and they decided to. They called it one of the art teachers in our project she organized in Healdsburg, California, and these kids came together and created the name of it. It's called the Pep Talk Hotline, so kind of like TikTok, but Pep Talk Hotline. And if you call the number, you get a little message from kids, elementary school kids from West Side Elementary will give you messages like, "Hey, hang in there. Hey, you need a hug," stuff like that. It's very
Oh,
cool.
I like it.
It's very sweet. I called it last night. The number is, this will make people have to rewind here, 707-998-8410. That's 707-998-8410. Very cute. You call it, they are getting up to when they launched it, 300 to 400 calls a minute or an hour mark.
Rates may apply.
Yeah, rates may apply. That was a big one. Pete Davidson has Kim Kardashian's name now tattooed on his chest. They made
Oh my God.
Instagram. Can you believe that?
Be careful.
Yeah. It's not pretty. I mean, here, I'm kind of showing it.
I don't want to see it. But I know he told Kanye to grow up.
Did he?
Yeah, they had some kind of tweet thing.
Kanye probably didn't listen to him, did he?
No, he's crazy.
Kanye does his own thing, It's terrible. And that's all I got. My good news, though, this is a wonderful one, playing off the Lady Gaga thing. Title is Dispatch Mental Health Teams Instead of Police Are Successful. So successful that they're expanding fivefold. This is a program that happened in the city of Denver. Instead of sending police in for emergencies that relate to mental health, this makes sense. They're sending in health professionals.
I saw that.
Yeah. And they started in 2020. They have white vans. They're kind of similar to like a police car, if you will. But this also allows police to do what they're supposed to be doing, not going on calls like this. A lot of these calls are related to poverty, homelessness, addiction. And it's very, very cool. This team is going out and doing this work. We're working on programs here in Wisconsin like that and in Dane County, too, just so you know. But I love it. It's called
Good. Very good. Big boo, big booyah. My big boo is the right relaunching their, quote, gay people are pedophiles slur, starting with Governor DeSantis' spokesbitch, Christina Pushaw, Pushaw.
You did not just say...
She's a spokesbitch. Oh, absolutely.
Never
And, because she was, she came out last week and said that it's not a don't say gay bill, and the people who are opposed to it are groomers, and as a gay man, you know that they've been saying that crap about us for decades, and I thought we were getting past that where the general public does not think that gay men are pedophiles and groomers. But then Laura Ingraham started saying the same shit. Here we go again. After all these years, they're going to drag this crap out and say that, we're opposed to these bills because we want to groom children for something. I don't know. I guess for sex. I don't know. But my big boo is to that whole thing. I can't stand these people. They're evil and ugly and nasty and vicious. My big booyah, I got a couple of them. I'll just do them back to back. California Governor Gavin Newsom for offering California as a great place for Disney to move its business from Florida. Of course, Disney has business in Florida. But Gavin's saying, bring all your jobs to California. We'd love to have you. Because Ron DeSantis mocked the CEO of Disney, which I think is a ridiculous thing to do when they employ 500,000 people in Florida. And he mocked Disney as a quote woke corporation. I know it's not easy to just move your company, move all of that, but yeah, somebody needs to put that man in his place. Right. And then I also want to give a booyah to Mitt Romney for calling Tulsi Gabbard the ex-House member, but she's still dangerous because people on that listen to people in that environment listen to her. Anyways, Romney called her traitorous for spreading Russian propaganda. And Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and others are doing the same thing. And they're being played on Russian television. Russian TV, state television, is playing clips of Tucker Carlson and probably Tulsi Gabbard to justify their brutality in their invasion of Ukraine. So that's it, I think.
Oh, man. My big boo, actually, sometimes I search, like, who was the worst person this week, or just to get some ideas. So I Googled it, and something came up. This was a couple weeks ago, actually, when I was looking for fodder for the show back then. Came up as the worst person in the world. So I clicked on it. Well, it turns out that's the name of a movie that was shot in Oslo, getting a lot of attention in the awards categories that are going on right now, like I mentioned earlier. So I went with my friend Tori. We used to work together, but we love film. So although we no longer work together, we'll meet up and see a film. We went to see this film, Mark, and it was really great. Have you heard of it? Has anyone heard of it?
No.
It's really good. It's told in 11 or 12 segments, plus a prologue and an epilogue. And what I love about it is just the story of a young woman named Julie and the things she goes through, from dating and having sex to having an affair, like one of the chapters called The Affair, if you will. To hooking up with someone else, then her first boyfriend gets cancer, then she comes back to see him, and then she's a photographer, and she's shooting on a set with her old boyfriend's girlfriend, just things that happen in life, right? This is what I'm describing is something I could describe about any of my friends, right? It just happens. But the story and the premise of the story and the title comes from the fact that sometimes we think we're the worst person in the world for the things we've done to others, whether it's breaking up or, having an affair, whatever. And we're really not. That's just what is called life. So my boo is just related to that story, that I looked up the worst person in the world, and it happens to be just you or me, or just people that we think we're so bad, but are we? We're just living life, So good movie. Go check it out. Loved it. My big booyah, this is awesome, Mark. Airbnb announced that will offer free short-term housing for up to 100,000 refugees fleeing from the Ukraine. They're working with, all over.
Idaho?
No, in Poland, Germany, Hungary, because we forget, it's an international thing. And Romania, so people have stepped it up and said you can use our homes, block them out, and are allowing refugees to come in. This is part of a larger movement by the company to support refugees and other displaced people around the world. Last month, the organization announced that it provided over 21,300 Afghan refugees a place, and they've also provided free temporary housing to over 20,000 refugees from Afghanistan, Africa, the Middle East, Central and South America. Isn't that cool?
I like that a lot.
You wouldn't think about it. And one last thing I want to say when it comes to social media. They did this really unique thing where people were pouring money into the Ukraine using Airbnb. So what would happen is any Ukrainian Airbnbs that were out there, people from the United States and other places were booking them. So all this money was going into Ukraine. So someone would book they worked with the people owning the homes there, and they would take like 9 reservations a night and get all that money in. They brought in $1.9 million for Ukrainians in just 48 hours of doing this blitz. All that money then was used and given to the Ukrainian population to help the fight. So interesting. Big booyah.
I like that.
That thing's cool. It's Airbnb. I'm going to tag Airbnb when I post this.
Yes, twist tops. So we're moving right along. I got 2 of them. One is Jimmy's Famous Seafood, the restaurant we went to in Baltimore that I mentioned. It's just really it's been on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and it's been on the Food Network. It's been on other things. It's just a really fun seafood place. If you're in the Baltimore area, you got to try it out, and it's very well known. The crab cake, Frank's crab cake, was as big as a pancake. And
Nice.
it's one of those places where it's not real expensive, but you get so much food that you can get 2 meals out of it. So everybody, Jimmy's Famous Seafood, tell them Mark and Rick sent you, and you will get absolutely no discount.
Yeah, they'll say, who the hell's that?
Yeah, my other twist top is I'm late on this, but when we were visiting my sister and my niece was there because she and her family live nearby, she told us to watch a documentary called My Octopus Teacher.
Yes.
It's from 2020, and we saw it, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was a beautiful documentary about this man. He was a wildlife cinematographer was burned out on his job over the years. He was really tired and depressed, and he started going snorkeling in the area where he had grown up in South Africa. And he didn't wear a wetsuit. He would just do the breathing apparatus, the snorkel, and a trunks, bathing suit, and go into the water. And he ended up developing this really interesting relationship with an octopus. It was emotional. It was powerful. I will never eat octopus again. And you just got to see it. And it also won the Oscar. It started out as this small movie, and it went on to get international acclaim and win the Oscar. And during the pandemic, everybody was talking about it. It was very viral. It's called My Octopus Teacher. Highly recommended.
I watched it a year ago or two or whenever it came out, and highly recommended as well. It's awesome. I didn't expect it. Did you? I mean, you didn't know what you're getting into when I started watching it.
No, it was really well done and very thought-provoking. You know, I would like to not eat animals at all, but that's not gonna. I'm just not cut out to do that.
You know, it's a new story I forgot to share earlier, but it reminds me. This reminded me of this story that that I was going to share. Now I just looked it back up, but it's just the sensory elements we all have, or that sometimes it's not verbal expressions. So much of what we do, we talk about body language, we talk about smell. That can be in relations to animals. Look at how dogs sense things in people, or cats sense things and move away, or an octopus. But this was a story, Mark. This is fascinating. A couple of years ago, a woman named Joy Milne, she made headlines when scientists discovered that she could smell Parkinson's disease on people with the disorder. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's cool. And because of her, they've now created this thing. Researchers have created a thing called the e-nose that could someday diagnose a disease in a doctor's office, following what's going on in her olfactory.
Wow.
And they do say some people like her just have a heightened sense of it. And she noticed the smell in her husband, who a year later was diagnosed, or sometime later. And they said that it is. When you look at someone living with Parkinson's, they are emitting a certain something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm watching your face right now. You're really into what I just said.
Yeah. No, it doesn't surprise me.
It's
only that it's a person. I would imagine an animal could do it.
Like, what do you call those dogs? What do you
Yeah, they're called dogs.
Yeah, those seeing eye dogs. The other day I was at the, I do a daily drive-through for a car wash. I'm a member of a car wash, and they have the hoses out there to vacuum first. And I pull up, and there's an undercover police car, a canine police car, as it turned out. And the police officer, had his German Shepherd smelling dog, and he had the vacuum, and he was vacuuming the dog.
Wow.
What is that about?
That's interesting. The dog probably liked it. It probably felt good.
It did. He was kind of like shaking his ass. You know how that goes. But if anyone knows why one would vacuum their dog, please let me know. I just kind of thought
just got a haircut.
Yeah, and maybe he's like, I'll vacuum the dog as a precautionary so the dog doesn't shed in my car. I don't know. So I only have one twist off, and you may have heard of it. There is one. Little tease here in East Rutherford, New Jersey. They actually started in New York City about the time you and Frank were living there. It is called Van Leeuwen's Ice Cream. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh my God, Mark. So their story is they started as a truck. It's two young guys and a young woman. They started in 2008 driving a yellow truck on the streets of New York City. They said, everybody looks for healthy options back in the day. People did, and they still do. They said, but what defines healthy to us is happiness. And so they created these ice creams that are just a combination of milk, cream, eggs, and cane sugar. And then they created some for their vegan friends as well, using coconuts, cashews, and oats. But yesterday it was announced, or 2 days ago it was announced, that Walmart is now starting to carry some of these. So I advise you to go out and try them. I tried the one they made famous. The first one they did was macaroni and cheese. We talked about it on the show here before. Macaroni and cheese ice cream by Van Leeuwen's. They have other flavors like Brooklyn Brown Sugar Chunk. They have cookies and cream, not that great of an idea, but it's there. They have Earl Grey tea, honeycomb ice cream, hot honey, Sicilian pistachio. I mean, here's the top lists. Planet Earth is made from blue spirulina almond ice cream filled with matcha green tea. Pizza which is cream cheese and mozzarella ice cream, a tomato jam swirl and basil crust cookies, hot honey, like I mentioned, royal wedding cake. It was inspired by the cake served at the royal wedding in 2018. It's got a base of floral and sweet cream cheese with chunks of lemon sponge cake and elderberry frosting. Two more, just indulge me. Bourbon cherries jubilee, made with swirls of bourbon cherry compote, and wild blueberry shortcake, vanilla ice cream, chunks of shortcake, and a blueberry swirl. How wild is that?
I want some. Let's go.
You can check it out. 3,500 Walmart locations in all 50 states are carrying it, and you can go to stand-up locations in about 7 different states. They're opening one, I know, in Connecticut soon. God, good stuff.
Listicle time.
Got some listicles and some testicles.
My listicle is the most annoying passenger on a train. I mean, on a plane. I'm sorry. The most annoying passenger on a plane. This is,
do?
huh?
Is it the things they do? Is that
Yeah, this is from Travel and Leisure.
Love it. Let's hear it.
Actually, a website called Only Wanderlust, a travel resource website, recently surveyed more than 1,500 travelers on the most annoying passengers on a plane. Man-spreading, body odor, and even the sometimes beloved tradition of clapping when the plane lands made the list. According to Only Wanderlust, these are and I didn't read all of them, there were like 20, I'm not going to do that. The common airline passenger annoyances in order are the kicker, your seat being kicked.
Oh, yeah.
Usually a child, and I just want to throw the child out of the plane.
Hate it.
The stinker, a passenger with bad body odor. I haven't really experienced that very often.
Either. No.
Yeah, that's a little lower class than I fly. The loud and proud, other passengers talking loudly.
Mm-hmm.
That's more of an issue for me in restaurants. I really don't like it in restaurants. We run it, especially when the acoustics are bad. It's okay.
And by the way, Mark, I am one of those just because my voice is kind of booming, and I hate being that guy, but
You're a boomer, that's for sure. The noisy kid, crying babies or children.
that's
They're annoying anywhere, not just a plane. The recliner, here you go. The seat in front of you reclining when you got food on it and it goes all over your lap.
right. And I go back on mine slowly because I don't want to be that guy, So I just slowly edge my way back.
Yep. The eager. This is passengers standing and getting bags as soon as the plane lands. It's like, do they think that they're going to get out of the plane any faster doing that?
Right.
Just stay seated. You're not going to jump to the head of the line with that shit. The chatty Cathy, your neighbor talking to you throughout the flight. I'm able to do a bitching resting face or whatever they call it, so people don't talk to me when I don't want them to. I'm pretty good at that.
Well, I used to do that. Now I made 2 very, very dear friends. 3 very dear friends. One that lives here in Madison. We're still friends to this day. Actually, she's my events planner on my campaign. That's Peggy. I met a wonderful woman named Kirsten. Anytime we're in the same seats, I take a picture of my seat and send it to them, let them know. And then I met a wonderful friend named Shayla in Iowa. That I was the chatty Cathy, and I became friends with these 3. Have their phone numbers, share things on Facebook. Shayla sent me a birthday gift. Isn't that crazy?
Yep, you made the most of it.
Yep.
The armrest hog, your neighbor taking up all of the armrest.
That's a good one.
I like to just flip up the armrest. I don't even need
I
to
like
have
to
it
have
down.
more. Yeah, then you're right. Me too.
And then the night owl, a bright phone or a tablet screens on night flights. Now, I don't usually take night flights, but and I won't fly unless I absolutely have to because I hate the experience now. But anyways, that's my list of annoying passengers on a plane.
Those are so, I travel all the time, despite, COVID. I was still traveling, following the rules, but every one of those hit a chord. And I also hate, we're going to lower the lights now. We're on a light flight, but when you're ready to land, the freaking plane just whips them up, The other one I hate is the person that reaches over and turns the air on above you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want that air. I don't want it next to me. I don't want it on me. I don't want it, Mark,
Yep.
So I'm going to pass on my on my listicle, because I think I was there with my ice cream flavors.
Yeah, you did it. You did it for sure.
I did it. Oh, you're just delighted because I'm skipping and making time up.
Surreptitiously. Well, we're going to the tax man pretty soon.
I know. The tax man.
Got to pay my taxes.
My tax man, Rodney, he wrote me the other day, texted me, and they're on the way. So it's always scary to open that envelope to see if you get money back or not. You know what I'm saying?
Are you going to go out with him?
No. Rodney, I think he may be divorced. I'm not going to take him because he'll hear me talking about it. But you know,
You're not doing a shout out on that one.
no, I'm not. But do you know who his nephew is? We've talked about him on the show. He was from Peoria, Illinois. He's that U.S. congressman that got in trouble because he said he wasn't gay, but he is. And now on his social media, he's always got his ripped abs and he's out there.
Oh, yes, I know who you're talking
Aaron
about.
Shrek or Aaron
Shrek,
Schott?
yeah.
Yeah, he had a photographer that traveled everywhere. Remember him?
Yeah.
We did his office like a polo lounge. I hope his uncle didn't have to do his taxes, you know? Now, maybe I'd do his nephew. Whoop! But
Better not shout out.
Certainly not
No
Rodney.
shout-outs.
I'm looking him up. Yeah, Aaron John Schock.
Yep.
A former American politician, just so you know. Yeah, speaking of airlines, by the way, I just wonder, only Delta travels right now with alcohol on board. American does, but they only serve it in first class. I've complained about that. But now the big thing is, when are they going to relinquish the mask mandate? What do you think?
Probably by this summer for sure, maybe by the end of April. I know the cruise ships, we go on a cruise at the end of May, and I believe we will not have to wear the masks outside the cabin. I'll take them with me, but when we went in December, you had to wear a mask anywhere outside of your cabin, which is kind of a drag, but I don't think we're going to have to do that this time. I'm waiting to find out if we still have to get tested. You had to do a vaccine passport, which is fine. We've got our vaccine. But do we have to get tested 24 hours before we get on the ship? We're going to find out.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. A lot of my friends, when I posted this question, were like, nope, that'll prevent us from ever flying again, which is sad. I mean, I'd hate to get to that point that you say you'll never travel again,
Now, what's your social media stuff? And then we'll do
my
our
social media stuff, some good ones. Follow it. Mark's posting a lot right now to our Facebook and our Instagram account. Some fun things, like these are quips from Mark I thought I'd share. People are now following us. Here's what you're missing out. Mark said, Starbucks needs an express line for people who just want plain old coffee.
Very true. Because I go there on my break. We have a Starbucks at work, and I got 15 minutes or whatever. Maybe I have 5 minutes. I just want a fucking cup of coffee. I don't want to stand in line behind people ordering some crazy fancy bullshit with 6 ingredients. Come on.
Well, I'm going to take Panera on this because I love Panera. You go in and get your own coffee. You can pay at the kiosk and then just go get it. Starbucks doesn't do that, and they should. Another quip from Mark on Instagram. Why doesn't anyone ever say they have smaller fish to fry? Answer on that? That's a good one, Mark. And here's the last quip that Mark posted. It wasn't his, but I loved it. There's a comedian here, actually, Mark, in a comic that does live here at the Comedy on State Street. And he does little quips like this, and this reminded me so much of him. I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something.
Yeah, I like that. That was cute.
That's a good one. Thanks for sharing that. He does all these quick little ones that are just so funny. Also, want to shout out to my friend Michael, who lives over in Germany. He always finds Wisconsin things and sends them to me on our account. This was a quote from Charles Barkley on Aaron Rodgers, who said, I think he's the pretty girl that you got to tell her she's pretty every day. He kind of is, and he's making all this money that he shouldn't be making. One last thing on TikTok, I did search around. There is a guy making wax out of wax figures like Sumatran elephants from Baby Bell cheese wax. That red wax?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Very cool. Very cool. And lastly, one more thing before we move on to our quotes to end the show, Mark. This is fascinating to me. People, remember when you were talking like, what the heck? Is this really a flavor when I was talking about Easter candy?
Yeah.
And I talked about s'mores?
Yeah.
So someone wrote me in this. It doesn't matter why it is. It's just awesome. And they were explaining that it has a little rice in it, and it's like a perfect complement to any spring celebration. Use these candies when you're making Easter cookies, et cetera, et cetera. But they, like me, have looked, and they said they can't find any connection between honey graham flavor and Easter itself. But
okay.
So that's it. That's what I got. What you got for a quote, Marky?
Well, a friend of ours, Amanda, her 15-year-old dog died the other day. And it's very, those of us who have animals in our lives, we know what's going on. And it's going to be really, it's really sad. It's just part of the agreement that you make when you have animals in your life, that you will outlive them in most cases. And you have to learn to accept that that's part of the deal. So this is a quote that she put on her Facebook page. It's from a woman named Suzanne Clothier from something called Bones Would Rain from the Sky. I don't know if it's a poem or a book. Anyways, this is her quote. There is a... Oops, sorry. Ooh, you sent me something.
I did.
There is a cycle of love and death that shapes the lives of those who choose to travel in the company of animals. It is a cycle unlike any other. To those who have never lived through its turnings or walked its rocky path, our willingness to give our hearts with full knowledge that they will be broken seems incomprehensible. Only we know how small a price we pay for what we receive. Our grief, no matter how powerful it may be, is an insufficient measure of the joy we have been given.
Wow.
So, for all these animal lovers, and I call them my animal friends. I don't call them my pets. Animal companions.
Yeah, and people know that I have a challenge with animals only because you hit it right. We will outlive them, and that's, they never say a parent should bury a child. We face that during HIV and AIDS, which is more poignant than losing a pet, but it's sad, and it's hard for me to even fathom getting close to an animal. So anyway, my quote comes from a lovely, lovely friend of mine, Mary Toma, who we've talked about in the show. We've actually had her as a guest in a previous version of the podcast.
She's a Roma. She's a Roma Toma.
She's a Roma Toma. Mary and Ron, good friends of mine, retired out to Colorado, have a beautiful home. So go to marytoma.com. That's Mary, THOMA.com. You can sign up for her e-blasts, her blog called Heart's Content. It's an e-newsletter that goes out that really talks about the intersection of compassion and creativity. She also recently was a guest on our friend Juanita, who you can find on social media on Instagram. Juanita is an actor friend of ours who now does a podcast called the Soul Hugger Sessions, and she had Mary on as a guest. She dives into yoga, fashion, astrology, couture, jewelry, mystical manifesting mindsets, and Mary was on there as a guest. It was delightful to hear the two of them talk. You can follow Juanita on Juanita, WANETAH. They're both wonderful women of inspiration to me, both clean and sober and just wonderful people. That just are right to the point. When I say clean and sober, I mean just clarity of mind. Love them. This quote, Mary picked and put on her blog from Audrey Hepburn. So I thought I'd end with this quote. Tied in with what we said earlier. And shout out to Airbnb and folks that were part of that campaign earlier. Nothing is more important than empathy. And also, Mark, this relates to you or wearing your shirt today. Nothing is more important than empathy for another human being's suffering. Nothing. Not career, not wealth, not intelligence, certainly not status. We have to feel for one another if we're going to survive with dignity. Love it.
I believe it. I like it. It's a good end to the show.
Yes.
Everybody will be back next week with twist number 188.
Thanks,
and
guys.
In the meantime, enjoy the spring. Spring's coming in a couple days.
It has sprung. It is.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Mark.